Honorable Chair, and my beloved delegates, professors, trainers, brothers and sisters, I am honoring this statement on behalf of India and most of the world's poor, marginalized and refugee communities. India is assuming the presidency of the G20 in 2023 with the motto of One Earth, One Family, One Future. Our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi said, India will focus on healing our One Earth, creating harmony with our One Family, and giving hope for our One Future, responding to call for increased ambition in our 2030 climate targets. We have launched a far-reaching new initiative in renewable energy, e-mobility, ethanol blend fuels, and green hydrogen as an alternative energy sources. India's contribution to the world's cumulative emissions so far is less than 4%, and our annual per capita emissions are about one-third of the global average. The goal of India's nationally determined contribution is to attain about 40% of its installed capacity of non-fossil fuel-based electricity by 2030, as well as to lower the GDP emissions intensity by 30 to 35% by 2030, and concentrating on increasing the amount of forest and tree covered by 2.5 billion tons of CO2 equivalent by 2030 and attaining net zero emission by 2070. The National Solar Mission, Improved Energy Efficiency and Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change were among the 8 missions that made up India's 2008 National Climate Change Strategy. India has presented its long-term low-emissions route strategy, which outlines low-carbon transitions routes across significant economic sector. We are deeply concerned that the climate change will intensify the threats of chronic and sudden onset developmental challenges, such as poverty traps, food insecurity, and mortality from floods, droughts, and storms, particularly in most vulnerable countries. This will undermine the progress towards various sustainable developmental goals. The vulnerability is a result of many interlinked issues concerning poverty, migration, inequality, access to basic service, education, and governance capacities, often made more complex by past developments, such as histories of colonialism. The colonialism impacts includes environmental degradations and spread of diseases, economic instability, ethnic rivalries, and human rights violations. During the 200 years of British colonizations in India, India's landscape was destroyed and they imposed colonies and made India as a coal-dependent country. The British colonial rules has impacted India tremendously between 1765 to 1938. Britain is estimated to have drained $45 trillion US dollars from India. Between 1765 and 1938, Britain is estimated to have drained $45 trillion US dollar from India. And the deprivation skills, and it is estimated that 1.8 billion Indians died avoidably from alarming deprivation under the British from 1757 to 1947. We have to note that the rich countries, including the United States, Canada, Japan, and much of the Western Europe, account for just 12% of the global populations today, but are responsible for 50% of all the planet warming greenhouse gases released from fossil fuel industry over the past 170 years, and they consume up to 10 times more natural resources than those in the poorest countries. In terms of climate finance delivery, developed countries pledged in 2010 to generate 100 billion USD per year by 2020. Regrettably, they have failed in that commitment. In Paris, the deadline for delivering the $100 billion was shifted to 2025, with no guarantee that it would be accomplished. Now, I'd want you to pay attention to something more vital. Are we aware of the millions of innocent humans who are still suffering from unimaginable violences, injustices, and extreme poverty, living without sufficient shelter, sanitary facilities, clean water to drink, the nutritious food, access to electricity and clean cooking fuel, the proper clothing, suffering from chronic illness and degenerative diseases, and experiencing racial, ethnic, and religious discriminations? Do we know who is responsible for these situations? There is a numerous societal evils that affect significant portion of the current world that may be linked to colonialism and imperialism, including gender inequality, the racism, torture of local peoples, and obliterations of native culture. We must take lessons from the past. Do we know how many trillions of dollars are spent on defense and the destructive technological industry? Do we know how many trillions of dollars are being spent on unnecessary things? Do we have any idea how many trillions of dollars are spent on war? Do we know how many trillions of dollars are being spent on world sports field? Do we know how many trillions of dollars are being spent on building statues all over the world? Do we know how much money is being spent on developing nuclear and bioweapons? Do we know how many trillions of dollars are being spent on space tourism? Do we know how many millions of humans are working in national border security? Are we aware that 5% of the world's population is controlled by 80% of the world's wealth and resources? Do we know how many of our beloved innocent children, our beloved brothers and sisters, our beloved parents, our beloved animals are killed due to war and other conflicts? This is the age in which the killer has no understanding of why he is committed the atrocity, and the victim has no idea why he is being assassinated. This is the age in which the killer has no understanding of why he has committed the atrocity, and the victim has no idea why he has been assassinated. As a human, we have to learn from the history. Do we know why our ancient societies are collapsing? It may be due to the depletions of natural resources, environmental changes, and natural disasters and unsustainable complexity, invasion and atrocity, injustice, war and conflicts. Disease and the decay of social cohesion and conflict between tribes and beliefs, rising inequalities and discriminations, and inequitable distributions of income and wealth. We can see that all of these factors are present in today's world. Look at the mountains of the Middle East. It is getting greenish. See, that was a desert. Now it is getting greenish. Look at the land of Joshimitz that was situated in India. It is sinking now. It is sinking now. And thousands of families are threatened under threatened situations. They are migrating some different part of the countries. Everything is changing. And there is a clear evidence that the earth is warming at an unprecedented rate. Human action is the principal reason. Human action is the principal reason. Look at the rising sea level and acidifications, biodiversity loss, water crisis and floods all over the world, increasing atmospheric temperature, wildfiring, the groundwater depletions and decreasing soil organic matters, carbon and microbes due to the intensive agricultural practices. Emerging new variant bacteria, virus and pandemic disease, snow covering is decreasing, glaciers are retreating, ice sheets are shrinking, oceans is getting warmer, ocean is getting warming, and Arctic sea ice is declining, extreme events are increasing frequently all over the world. Look at the unfair world politics. Look at unfair world politics and injustice, and failing judicial system, human rights violations, and the digital colonialism and weather, food and biological weapons in new era. Unfortunately, humans are still fighting each others without considering these vital signs. Unfortunately, humans are still fighting each others without considering these vital signs. We have to consider these vital signs. We have to respect our nature. We have to do something meaningful and sustainable for the present and the future generations. We cannot fix our problems financially or technologically. We have to change our attitude and mindset and behaviors and consumption patterns. My dear brothers and sisters, we are spending huge amount of money on unnecessary things. Do we know why genocide and ethnic cleansing activities are still going on the earth? It's still happening all over the world. See, everywhere you can see that. Some part of the world you can easily identify. Do we know how much adulterated food we are consuming in our daily lives? Do we know how it will alter our minds and thinking? Do we know how many species have disappeared from the earth due to human action? Do we know the human relationship with the nature? Can I ask a question, dear brothers and sisters? How can we sleep peacefully without considering innocent human beings and the surrounding environment, its living creatures and their concerns and their problems? As a human, as a farmer, as a student, I wonder why we are closing our heart in front of innocent creatures on the earth. Take a look at the earth and the sky and the sea. Human hands have polluted and corrupted everything in order to create multi-billion-dollar businesses and satisfy their greeds. Look at the global inequalities in the distributions of income and wealth. The rich is becoming richer and the poor are becoming poorer. We are aware that the world economy has entered a period of extreme volatility. and that it is future directions is wholly unpredictable. An economic crisis can occasionally develop from the emergence of a financial sectors that is larger than the real economy due to the interest rate. Due to the interest rate. In our existing economic system, we must put an end to speculative activities and excessive leveraging, excessive borrowing, and we must strengthen equity-based and risk-sharing tools in our financial practices. As a human, we cannot divide the world into a global south and global north. As a human, we cannot divide the world into a global south and global north. We have to build unity and diversity. We live under the one sky, one earth. We breathe the same oxygen, drink the same water, have the same blood color, and can distinguish between good and bad actions. We have the ability to distinguish between what is good and what is bad actions. We have the abilities. Every human have that such capacity. And we are made from male and female, and we are divided into nations and tribes so that you can know one each other. We people have power, money, ideas, as well as great visions and missions. Unfortunately, we people are lacking some inner human qualities such as kindness, empathy, mercy, humanity, love, and compassion towards the living creatures on the earth. Firstly, we have to stop war in Ukraine and in Russia. We have to stop war between Ukraine and Russia. It is horrible. We cannot. It's horrible. Sometimes our eyes get tears, you know that. And war in Israel, Palestine, it's going, a long times it is happening. The conflict between Israel and Palestine, thousands of people are already killed, thousands of innocent children, women. See, how can we sleep? How can we sleep? See, this is happening in our beautiful earth. And the conflict between India and Pakistan, it also have a long history. The Pakistani and the Indian conflicts. It has a long history, but still going on the fight against. I don't know why it is happening. We have to take some initiative in a policy level. Not only the policy level, we have to act. We have to act with kindness, we have to act. We have to show kindness between people. It's our responsibility. As a human, it's our responsibility. And encounters between the US and China, and conflict between Iran, USA, and Israel. And the humanitarian crisis in Rohingya and Uyghur and Ukrainian. These are also very important matters, the humanitarian crisis. The thousands of people are already killed due to armed conflicts. Thousands of people. They don't have even food. They don't have even food. They don't have shelter. They don't have even sleep. They are not, they don't have even a safe drinking water. They don't have even a proper cloth for wearing. See, look at the Ukraine. And we have to stop domestic violences in terms of politics, caste, religions, and beliefs. We also have to stop hate speech all over the world. It's so disturbing us, hate speech. We cannot accept that. We can't accept hate speech. It's horrible all over the world, especially between communities and between religions and between caste. And between countries, hate speech is not good for a society, It's making much trouble. It's making much trouble in India. Not only in India, all over the world. It makes us much worried. And stop racism and the fascism and the terrorism. And start fight against the extreme poverty, injustice, and corruption on land, sea, and sky. And use ecology as a tool for sustainable development. We have to utilize the ecology. We have to use the ecology as a tool for sustainable development. We can achieve a lot of things. We have to study the nature, and adapt. We need unity and diversity. We need justice. We need freedom from fear. Every person needs freedom from fear. We need freedom from insecurity. We need freedom from poverty. We need freedom from appealing violences against humanity and the nature. Everyone has the same right to live a better, more secure, peaceful, and happier life on the earth. No one has any right to distress anything on the earth. We have the eyes, but we are not seeing the injustice and unprecedented violence against nature and the humanity. We can hear, but we are not listening the voice of the poor living creatures on the earth. We have hurts, but we are not living. But we are living as a hurtless human. We have hurt, but we are living as a hurtless human. There are some excellent things we can do in our lives. We have to feed the angry. We have to feed the hungry and declaring the hurt of human beings. We have to help. We have to help the afflicted, and we have to lighten the sorrow of sorrowful before leaving from the earth. Before leaving from the earth, we have to stand out firmly for justice even if it is against ourselves. We have to stand out firmly for justice even if it is against ourselves. That's important. That's a very important, because without justice, we cannot achieve anything in this earth. We must be aware that the pollution in our hood poses a significant threats to our planet. We have to change our attitude and mindset toward the societies and nations. My beloved brothers and sisters, as a human, we are among the best creatures on the earth. We can easily solve any problems, whatever is it, climate change or other. Firstly, we have to consider that everything in this universe is connected. There is a lack of coherence between human and nature. Look at the soil. We consider the soil to be the soul of infinite lives. If it is corrupted, everything is corrupted. See, look at the soil. We consider the soil to be the soul of infinite life. If it is corrupted, everything is corrupted. We cannot live peacefully as a human without the support of others, without exchanging knowledge, happiness, and prosperity. This is the time for regenerations. This is the time for regeneration. We have to regenerate. We have to regenerate kindness, empathy, mercy, humanity, love, and compassion in humanhood towards the living creatures on the earth. This is the time for regeneration. We have to regenerate kindness, empathy, mercy, humanity, love, and compassion in the humanhood towards the living creatures on the earth. And we can work together to create a merciful, compassionate, sustainable, fearless, fairness, and empathetic world without injustice, violence, poverty, war, and conflicts, troops, and borders. This is the time to build a truthful, meaningful, and merciful relationship between the individual, between the family, and between the society, and between the state, and between the nations, and between the cultures, religions, and beliefs, to create a millions of agroecological-based global self-sufficient village. Social intervention to fight against the poverty, malnutrition, undernutrition, inequalities in the distributions of income and wealth, gender and ethnic discriminations, violence and conflicts, hate speech, energy, injustice, climate change, pandemic, racism, fascism, and terrorism. Finally, I am reminding all of us, time is running out from our life. As a human, our lives on this planet are far too brief. The world cannot afford half measures or half commitment with respect to climate actions and protecting Mother's Earth. And finally, I would like to add some great quotes. The best and the most beautiful things in this world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart, by Helen Keller. The world has enough for everyone's needs, but no, not everyone's greeds. Mahatma Gandhi. And the ultimate goal of farming is not the growing of crops, but the cultivation and perfection of human beings, by Masanobu Fukuoka. And thank you to everyone. I wish all of you a healthy, peaceful, and prosperous life with kindness.